Yes, my name is Angaza Laughinghouse. I'm presently former president, but now vice president of the North Carolina Public Service Workers Union, UE Local 150 here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a state employee and also a member of Black Workers for Justice and one of the leaders of the Southern Workers Assembly. The reason that we had to convene this school this weekend, March 4th, 5th, and 6th, is because the challenges for the labor movement is growing. And there's not the kind of unity amongst labor unions and worker organizations that's needed to take on this rising tide of assaults on working people, labor unions, worker organizations. This school major mission was to try to deepen workers, particularly worker activists, the ones who are very active in their unions. That's who was invited. There was roughly 80-something workers who participated in various sessions of the school, is to take on these challenges that workers are faced with today. The assault on workers' rights, which are basic human rights, the right to organize, the right to payroll deduction, the right to collectively bargain for public sector workers, the rights of farm workers, low-wage workers who are not even covered by all the protections of the National Labor Relations Act. So I think the main goal was to try to deepen workers' understanding of what we're up against and why solidarity and unity of thinking is essential if we're going to even make a dent or make any forward advance in this particular historical period. I think the idea of, or the fact that workers from 8 states were present, from Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, and many more, was critically important. The Southern Workers Assembly's effort, which was initiated way back in 2012 during the National Democratic Convention during that period, was critical, but we haven't been able to develop the cadre, the disciplined worker activists, to help deepen and broaden this particular trend of building unity and allies between Southern unions. However, I think we made a major advance this weekend to the extent that we began understanding and began discussing the question of political economy. What is the relationship between all the political things that are happening and the capitalist system? Too often we don't want to discuss the question of the crisis in capitalism and its impact on working people, their unions, their communities, and also on the question of scapegoating, whether it's immigrants, Muslims, blacks, Latinos. So this was all very important. This worker school is one of, this first session is one of a series of 8. We're looking forward to the others that will occur every other week. Looking forward to not only educating workers, but trying to build some sort of plan that begins to link us up. Sometimes I think veteran organizers like myself who've been out there since the late 60s and 70s, that we underestimate what we're up against and how difficult it is to build unity. But I know we're really off to a good start this weekend, and I look forward to the other 7 sessions of this very valuable worker school.
Can you then tell me some of the highlights of this worker school?
I think one of the highlights was the fishbowl on the question of organizing for workers' power, people's power, during, before, and after the elections. As you know, oftentimes when elections come up, politicians begin to push out on issues that they normally don't even speak to. So the discussion was very valuable. I think what we drew out of that discussion was that workers need to have their own discussions in their workplaces, in their unions, in their national conventions, in their own organizations, and in their working class communities about what their true needs are, because the political landscape is not really about just the upcoming elections. The true central issue that workers are going to be having to deal with is all these needs and demands that we have at a time when we're in crisis, when capitalism is in crisis, and the crisis is impacting working people. Particularly, the Flint water question raises the question of why aren't public sector unions rallying around Flint to help the people deal with this question? We know that that has to happen. Public sector unions have to rally around the people who are fighting for quality water, affordable utilities in Flint. Similarly, the fight for 15. More unions should take this question up. Many temporary workers, casual workers, day laborers, all kinds of workers aren't even making, a basic $15 an hour. All unions should be engaged in these sort of campaigns and struggles and related to their own members who are oftentimes working contract jobs or whose jobs are being contracted out. And similarly with regards to the environmental issues and the school issues and the many other struggles of workers. Solidarity at this point in history is not an act of charity, but an act of necessity. It's going to be very important, as we discussed in our political landscape fishbowl, that we build our own political platform, our own worker bill of rights. It has to grow out of indigenous rank and file worker organizations, unions, worker organizations, working class communities, building their own political platform rather than trying to pick the best of all these political personalities that we see projected in the media, these $1 million ads in the media and these debates. We know only then will we be able to advance our needs, our struggle, through a political action program, and we cannot count on neither of these corporate parties, Democrats or Republicans. As we all know, Hillary Clinton's the multimillionaire getting money from Wall Street. Donald Trump is a billionaire using his billions of dollars as well as that of his supporters. These folks cannot represent our best interests. Only workers can speak in their own voice. Only workers can build their own political platform. And it will have to take place through our own self-organization. We cannot even count on the AFL-CIO. Many of the AFL-CIO unions are backing Hillary Clinton without any discussion, forum, debate amongst the rank and file as we had here at this school today. That is an essential resolution that came out of the political landscape discussion, is that we all go back to our workplaces. We had a document that was presented. It spoke to all these questions, and we need to have that debate going on in our workplace, in our local unions, in our national unions, our Eastern Region unions. We need these debates, these forums for this discussion. Our leadership, including in the black community, should not be endorsing, Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders or anyone else. Obviously, what we need first and foremost is a discussion in our community about the political landscape, what our needs are, what our platform should be, and certainly a workers' bill of rights, a human bill of rights should be essential to that platform. And we know that passing this resolution, we're going to, or we got the commitment from the representatives who were here at this school to begin this discussion and begin to push it out from the bottom up. From rank and file membership, we're going to continue to push this thing, this debate, this discussion forward, all the way through the elections, all the way past the elections when the elections are over, and certainly consider how we're going to move our platform or Bill of Rights forward, the Workers' Bill of Rights forward, or the People's Bill of Rights forward, through these People's Assembly and Workers' Assemblies. So just elated about the outcome. I'm honored to have had an opportunity to participate in trying to shape and facilitate this school, and we're looking forward to the remaining 7 sessions. I want to thank all the unions, particularly our union president from UE who attended, the national union president. He said it was very insightful. We need more of these activities. Rank and file union leaders said the same. We need more of this sort of discussion and education going on throughout the entire working class movement, not just labor union movement. And we want to thank our Eastern Region Vice President, Sister Deb Gornall, and the many other activists and rank and file leaders who were present today for their initiative in making sure this school was successful?
I think we have to stick together and in thinking positive and perseverance and in discipline and courage to get everything done to reach our goal.
Excellent.
Yes.
Are you hopeful of the victories we are going to have in the future with more people joining the movement?
Yes, I wish more people have to come and enjoy the movement all over the United States, all the 50 states.
The experience that I learned was so excellent. Things that I really, really wanted to freshen up in my memory from back in the day. Everything that I remember from back in the day, up to the cotton, up to Memphis, up to everything, it just was so excellent. And we need to teach this in every union that we do have, because a lot of people don't know. They might be in the union, they don't know it. We got to teach it, you see? And I really enjoyed it, every bit of it. And I'm going to follow it as much as I can.
What do you think about the future of the labor movement?
The future is going to be more exciting for us to teach as we go. It's going to be more powerful. I do know it's going to be more powerful because we're going to have to teach our younger ones. And if they don't get it, then we are not going to fail either way. We're still going to go forward. Okay? So I see it as being powerful. We need to all stay together. Drop the violence. Stay positive. Go forward. Keep your head up high. And always know the union is the right way.
My experience with the workers' school was awesome. It gave me a lot of knowledge that I didn't know, and by the power in organizing and the learning that I do have a voice and it deserves to be heard. The fight for 15, the labor movement as a result to myself personally, it opened my eyes to a broader problem that needs to be solved. And the labor movement, the South is the next big wave in the labor movement as far as fast food workers, low-wage workers, home health care workers, child care workers. It's not just it just doesn't stop at fast food workers, it's all workers. So with us joining the movement, it's so awesome to learn that people have the same concerns that we have. We're not here by ourselves. There are people who are struggling and wanting to help us as well.
What did you benefit from this? What was cool?
Well, I benefit from this. It's going to help me personally organize better, to spread knowledge, because what knowledge is power, and what people don't know, they can't help. And what the school has taught for me is to bring knowledge to the people. And the more people know, the more they can help themselves. And it's not about, it's about us helping ourselves. And once we help ourselves, other people join the cause and willing to help us. So once we take like that first step in helping ourselves, and other people out there see us out there willing to help ourselves and take that first step, and they'll help us take the third and fourth step after that. It's just getting started.
The workers' movement, I would like to see that it become more broadened. I would like to not limit it to just a certain area. I like to see it broaden out to other regions, and that we can collectively stand together as one, because most of the issues on the workplaces are the same issues in the workplaces in other states and places as well. They're having the same issues, just different places and different faces. Well, I see the consciousness, and I heard people speaking on it, and there are a lot of great things going on as far as Black Lives Matter. But recently, the death of a young man in Raleigh, North Carolina, who was gunned down 6 times by an officer. The communities are rallying behind that, as well as imprisonment in Durham. They had a rally this weekend to talk about the unfair treatment of people that are currently in Durham County Jail. So there is a awareness, and there is a stirring, and there's a movement going on, and all these things, they affect all workers, because these people are people who work, and they're part of our community, and we need to be behind them, and they need to know they have our support.
Well, the significance of the Worker School from our perspective in the UE is to provide some very needed education, and to be able to have discussion, worker-to-worker discussion about how it is that we begin to build workers' power in workplaces, both in the private and public sector. But to begin to lay the foundations of some fairly deep education about the way that our economic system is, about the relationship between ourselves as workers and those who own the means of production, but those also who produce the labor and produce the profit for the owners, and how it is that we're able to capture and redistribute that wealth that has been mostly all going to the top, and be able to redistribute the wealth through collective bargaining and through negotiations with the employer to be able to provide the profits that we produce to those who produce the profits.
Please tell us from UE's point of view about your model of worker organizing, and how do you do that?
So, well, we actually have very different models of worker organizing. It depends upon the situation. So here in the South, in right-to-work states, the model of organizing, and especially North Carolina, where it's illegal to have a collective bargaining agreement as a public sector worker, the model of organizing is much different. And it's based on agitation, and it's based on shop struggle, it's based upon workplace struggle, and it's based upon protecting people, filing grievances, filing complaints, representing people, protecting people from unjust discrimination at the workplace. But at the same time, it's also a social and a political struggle with the community organizations around trying to build up the living standards of the workers that we represent, but others who we don't represent, but also work in the same industries.
What's the future of the workers' movement here to locally to globally?
Well, so for us, the future of the workers, I mean, this is somewhat of a generational issue, I think. I mean, we can see my children's generation, the people in their 20s and 30s now, really are beginning to have a political consciousness that, although those of us who grew up in the anti-war movement thought we had, but really didn't, because it did not carry forward into the 80s. We ended up with Ronald Reagan, which is one of the worst periods of time in our history. People think Trump is bad, and he is. Ronald Reagan wasn't any different, and it really began to slide in the United States in terms of labor rights. But I'm actually very hopeful in terms of the progress and the involvement that young people have done within our own union. We have a very strong young activist program within our union, and we're sort of looking and mentoring the younger leadership in our union begin to take stronger leadership positions, both at a local, regional, and a national level. But also you can see through Black Lives Matter movement, through the environmental movement, the climate change movement, through the women's movement, the fight backs that are going on both in the universities and in high schools, that there is a real energy and desire amongst young people to really begin to give more power to working people in this country. And they have that analysis. They're yearning for that. They're thirsty for that kind of analysis. And you can tell here at the conference today, people are very interested in just learning as much as possible to understand the intricacies of the system better, in order for us to be able to come up with strategies that are able for us to be able to bring a more human society to bear on.
The Workers' School, of the class that we're attending this weekend, is awesome. Very informative, very needed. I'm so excited and absorbing everything that's here this weekend, and I just pray that we continue classes like this, because we need education, we need knowledge to know when, where, and the right thing to do to fight this fight and struggle that we're in.
Excellent. What do you think about the future of the labor movement or workers' movement?
The labor movement, the future is one that we're going to be victorious in. It's not a fight that just have started. It's been over the decades, and we're here to carry it on, what others have died for. And it's a movement that I am so proud to be a part of. I just wish that I had started so many years ago with the union, NAACP, but I'm thankful that now I'm here. And it's my future plans. Within 2 years, I'll be retired. But I'm not going to stop working. Matter of fact, that's going to give me an opportunity to be able to work with the unions and NAACP full time, more so than I'm able to do now, to carry on what Martin Luther King started, and many others, that are even here today in the class, and to be unified and use the knowledge and the education that we're getting now to go forward.
My experience has been very eye-opening, very motivational. You know, it gives me the motivation to bring the message back to the people in Petersburg who don't want to come together and be a part of the movement. And it encourages, once I bring it back to them, it encourages them and has them, you know, wanting to join the union and become more involved. The future of the labor movement is in us being able to get more young individuals involved in order to build it up and make it a lot more stronger, because when we educate the younger individuals, it gives them more power and more motivation and, you know, to momentum to bring it on, and bringing it on as they come up younger in their workplace, you know, makes it more powerful. We just got to get out there and find the young people, you know. I think we need to go into social services departments and encourage those young ladies there. And while we're encouraging them, we're bringing their children into the movement. Go to the places where individuals are feeling destitute and like they don't have anywhere to turn. Encourage them and show them the way to go to get things done, get their needs met.
What's your experience so far with the Workers' School?
The school has been tremendous. I'm comparing it to a training that I took with the UAW at their retreat facility for the Civil Rights Committee, which I serve on. And it was very good in many ways. There were certain laudatory aspects about linking the fight for civil rights with the fight for labor rights. But this school is taking labor education to a whole new level, to have the kind of school that doesn't just train us to be more effective on the shop floor or wherever we work, but it's training us to build the only thing that is going to liberate the working class, and that's a global movement of workers and oppressed people. The focus on globalization was spot on, because we need to stop allowing artificial borders to keep us apart from our class sisters and brothers. Another lesson is that we've got to get away from the business unionism model, where even the most well-meaning representatives see themselves more as an attorney than as a leader of the rank and file. We need an engaged rank and file. That's the lesson of the Boston school bus drivers' victory. That's the lesson from 2008 with UE, with Republic Windows and Doors. That's a lesson of all this work that we're doing, is that we need to engage the rank and file and understand that a union, an effective union, is not a service organization, it's more of a combat organization.
I really started even before, in the late 40s.
Wow.
In the late 40s, when I used to, the Klansmen would, every 2 or 3 weeks, they would meet and have their little ceremony and burn the flag and all this stuff. And I used to be up in the woods, and I would see them with their fire and everything. And I come through the backwoods and I throw rocks at them. I throw rocks at them. They start running. Then they start shooting. Wow. But they would start shooting. They couldn't hit me because I'm behind a tree.
Yeah.
You know, so they had to run. But I found out who it was that I was throwing the rocks to, because we had to come back down into the community, and so the guys that were driving the bus, I mean, the Klansmen, they come and tell my daddy, your boys are acting up again. So my daddy would say, "Come on, my kid's upstairs in the bed." But this is what happened. I come in and I get up on the roof and I climb through the window. And when they come up and see if say, there they are in the bed. I said, with the cover on top of my head.
Wow.
But it was a fight. Them Klansmen, you know what they used to do? They stopped killing black folks. They're hanging black folks.
Wow.
They start hitting them in the head and throwing them in the water.
Wow.
That's what they were doing. That's what they were doing down the south.
And please tell us about also the history of segregation that you were telling me about.
Well, I just went by. I drove, when I had to go to school in the morning, I went by 3 white high schools to get to the black school. Mm-hmm. And this is, you know, so when the segregation come back, we went to one in the neighborhood, but it took you a long time to get to school. Mm-hmm. And in the school, we had every morning we would sing the Black National Anthem. They call it now "Lift Every Voice and Sing." But it's say, lift every voice and sing, till heaven, earth, ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise, high as the lifting sky. Let every sound loud as the roaring sea. Hold on. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has brought us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has taught us. Raising the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. That's the Black National Anthem. It's not lift every voice and sing. We got to change it back. Thank you. This workers' school, we got to organize. We organize in the South. I never heard anything like it. All we got to do is get together and you organize in Boston, but you have these companies come in after you. But that's what we got to do. We got to organize the South. There's no other way. My father was a coal miner in West Virginia. He wanted to put me in the coal mines in West Virginia. I told him, I don't think so. I don't think so. So they wanted, they was on strike, and I knew about strikes early in my life because I used to watch Daddy work with the car. But we need to organize. That's the only way. People always say you make more money with the car. But if we didn't have the union, I wouldn't be working. Because the union backed me up. They backed me up because I hate the bosses. The bosses. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And last question, what do you think about the future of the movement? You already said...
The movement, solidarity, that's what I say to the movement. Solidarity, tell these young kids out there that's trying to get into the movement, we want solidarity, come and try to get all kind of information from us because we've been through it and we can show you how to do it. Don't be afraid to ask because you got to learn. You got to go to school to learn, you know? Yeah. So the school ain't teaching, we're teaching, you know, because we were taught.